Ready to make your home buying dreams a reality? Then watch this video to uncover the secrets to getting your offer accepted in a hot seller's market. Hi neighbors, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Gabby Magsino. I am a real estate broker in North Central Jersey, and I work with Keller Williams Town Square in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to build a winning offer in a hot seller's market. If you've watched some of my old videos, then you know how much I love working with first-time home buyers. The current state of the market right now is not really in their favor. I'm going to be talking a lot more about that in this video. So if you are a buyer in today's market, you really need to have an understanding of what exactly you're about to get into and be ready to send that winning offer so that you can get your dream home. Before I get into it, it's important for me to explain what I mean when I say a seller's market. A seller's market is a term used in real estate to describe market conditions where there's just a lot more buyer demand than there are homes for sale on the market. So in simple terms, the better way to explain this is if, let's say, you go to the grocery store, you really want to buy an apple, but there's only 2 apples in the store and there's 10 buyers who want to buy an apple. So obviously only 2 of the 10 buyers are going to be able to win that apple. In this scenario, the apple is the house, and that is just what buyers and sellers are facing in this market. In a seller's market, there's not a lot of negotiating that happens if you are a buyer. So you have to really be working with a great buyer's agent who not only knows the local market, but is also very good at communicating with the listing agent, at knowing exactly what the sellers want. And the reason why we're in a seller's market is because there's just not a lot of homes for sale versus how many buyers are on the market. In Somerset County, the average month supply is about a month and a half. And what that means is if there are no homes that come on the market, it will only take about a month and a half for all the homes on the market to be sold. And that is a big indication that we just don't have a lot of inventory for the amount of buyers that are buying right now. Okay, so let's get into what is going to help you win an offer in this market. The one way that would prepare you to getting a winning offer in this market is to really understand your mortgage budget. And the reason why this is the first step is because in order for you to be really prepared for this market, your very first step really is to talk to a mortgage lender and get a pre-approval. And during this pre-approval process, a lot of the times what mortgage lender do is they give you your maximum approval instead of asking what your budget is. And one of the biggest mistakes a lot of first-time home buyer makes is they are basing their search on the maximum pre-approval that their lender gives them and not sticking to a budget that really is comfortable for them in order to maintain their new home. And the reason why speaking with a lender and getting pre-approved is such a crucial step in this seller's market is because homes fly off the shelf. You can go see an open house on a Saturday and it'll be gone by Monday, Tuesday. A lot of really great agents, what they do nowadays is they put the house on the market on Tuesday or a Wednesday and they advertise it as a coming soon so no one can see the property yet, and then they start the showings either on a Friday or a Saturday, and that Saturday and Sunday they host the open houses to get every single buyer who's interested in the home to come in all at the same time. And then around Monday or Tuesday, the listing agents typically will then do a highest and best, which means that that is the deadline that any buyer who is interested in this home can submit their offer, and that offer has to be their highest and best offer. The sellers will then pick who they feel is the highest and best offer that they want to move forward with. It doesn't necessarily have to be the highest price. That is why you have to be pre-approved and ready to go, because if you see the home and you want to put an offer in, you don't want that to be the first time you're speaking with a lender and then the home is gone by the time you got your pre-approval letter. And you also just want to make sure that you're looking at the right prices, because in this market, since there's a lot of bidding wars happening, if your maximum budget is $400,000, you ideally want to start looking in the $350,000 range, because you want to have room to go up in price. You want to have room for about, I don't know, like some buyers are crazy nowadays, from 5% to maybe even as high as 10, 15, 20% over asking price, especially if the listing agent priced that property correctly. So you want to make sure that you are not starting from your maximum budget and then not having room to win that bid. So that is the first step, making sure that you are pre-approved with a reputable lender. And if you did an initial consultation with your buyer's agent, then hopefully your buyer's agent introduced you to a lender that will make sure that you are well qualified and close on the home. Okay, so let's get into making your winning offer. If you are my buyer and we see a property and you really like the home, the first thing that I would do, and the first thing your buyer's agent should do if they are really making sure that they represent you in the best of their ability, is to contact the listing agent. You have no idea how helpful it is being on the opposite side, since I'm also sometimes a listing agent, when the buyer's agent contacts you directly. It just shows that the buyer's agent communicates well. They want to make sure that they understand what your seller's preferences are. They should really contact the listing agent because they want to know important details that could really help you win your offer. So if I am your buyer's agent, I introduce myself. I say, hi, I'm Gabby with Keller Williams Town Square. I just saw your home with my buyers and they really love it. So I want to be able to talk to you and connect with you so I can learn more what the sellers are looking for, so I can make sure that the buyers send in the best offer that we can present to the sellers. And then I asked, how many offers do you have? Are you doing any highest and best if that's not already indicated in the MLS? I asked, do they have any closing date preferences? And is there anything special that we should learn about the sellers? And this is very important because it allows me to go back to my buyer. In this scenario, you are my buyer. For me to tell you, hey, just so you know, I spoke to the listing agent. They said they have 3 offers right now. They will be doing all offers highest and best due on Tuesday. So we need to finalize our offer before then so we can submit it. And by the way, let's say the home was vacant, they're looking for a fast close. That's key. And if your buyer's agent is not doing that, you need a new buyer's agent. If your agent didn't contact them and they didn't know the sellers need some time to live in the property and you just submitted an offer the fast closing possible and she didn't say that you are flexible in your closing date, then that automatically strikes you out. And then of course, if that house has been on the market for like 100 days, which is not typical in this market, I'm gonna say in this market, if a house has been sitting for like 10 days plus, then you know that it's probably overpriced. If that is the case and you found a listing that's been sitting for 10 days plus, I obviously would still call the agent, but that's the only time you could kind of maybe possibly negotiate and get the house at asking price. And then the key component. First is the purchase price. You want to give the highest possible amount that you can give that is comfortable to you and that is still within your budget. So most of the time, while I'm in the process of contacting the listing agent, I tell my buyers to contact your lender. Ask them, how much is your monthly payment if this is the price that we give? How much is your mortgage monthly if we go up in this price? So that is the first thing while I talk to the agent. There's the down payment. Obviously, if you don't have a lot of assets, then we can only make do with the highest down payment that you can give, that you are comfortable with. The higher the down payment, the better. And then there's also earnest money deposit. It is sort of like an advance and a security to the seller that you're just not gonna back out for no reason. An earnest money deposit is actually part of your down payment, but you are giving it in advance. In this case, a lot of what I tell my buyers, if you have, which you should, have that asset or that money in the bank, and you are a low down payment type of buyer, like 3.5% to 5%, then we should just give that full down payment as your earnest money deposit. It is not separate from your down payment. It just shows the seller that we really love this property and we are gonna give you our full down payment to secure this home. And another way of thinking about what an earnest money deposit is, it shows that this house is reserved just for you to do all the inspections you need in order to get us to the closing table. And now we go to the two biggest hurdles that happens when you buy a property. And this is not me advising you what to do, because in this case, you are my buyer. This is me giving you all the options you have to make your offer as strong as possible. So for home inspections, the extreme version of what you can do to get your house secured for you and to get your offer as strong as possible is to completely waive inspections and home inspection for informational purposes only. I typically do not advise this for my clients, especially if they are first-time home buyers, because there is just no way of knowing if there are any major issues in the house. Yes, granted, a lot of what we saw when we saw the property is going to stay that way. That's going to be sold as is, but there could still be major issues that arise, like termites, mold, structural issues, mechanical issues, etc. That is the extreme of it all. And if you are an investor or if you think you're really getting a good deal on this house, then I have had buyers still waive the full inspection request. It doesn't mean that they are not inspecting the property, but regardless of what comes up in inspection, they're still moving forward. When you waive, and if you don't do a home inspection, I will get you to sign a document saying that I advised you against it, but you decide to. So that is the extreme of it. What a lot of buyers are doing nowadays is they say that we are still going to do an inspection, but we are going to limit inspection requests to major issues only. And typically that is structural, environmental, mechanical, and safety issues. And you know, in a regular market, those issues are really the type of issues that can get you possibly out of the contract if a seller doesn't want to do it for you. The only reason why we are saying that is for the purposes of you winning the offer and us kind of just telling them upfront that, hey, listen, we're not going to nitpick. We are only focusing on these major issues. Another step further from that is a lot of what my buyers do is also put a number that they feel they would be okay with if a major issue arises, but it's up to a certain number. So for example, we could say inspection requests will be limited to major defects only or major issues only, including structural, mechanical, environmental, and safety over X amount of dollars. So let's say my buyer is comfortable with saying, as long as it's less than $2,000, less than $3,000, less than $5,000, we're not going to request anything. But if it's over that, then we will. So those are certain tweaks that you can get creative to show how strong you are as a buyer to limit further crazier negotiations that can happen. And then if you want to keep it the way it is, that is fine too. We'll still submit it. The extreme of it is waiving, and then the least extreme is just keeping it the way it is and what it says on the standard contract of sale of New Jersey. Now, the second hurdle you have to face is appraisal. And this is only if you're obtaining a mortgage. So of course, If you are paying in cash, then you wouldn't have this problem. If you are obtaining a mortgage, which is what a lot of first-time home buyers do, because not everyone just has cash laying around, then the bank will order a bank appraisal. And what a bank appraisal essentially mean is a bank is going to have an appraiser to come in and check that the house is worth how much you're paying for it. For example, you see a house, it's listed at $400,000. We put an offer of $420,000. The bank thinks it's only worth $410,000. The seller wants to know, are you paying for that difference? Because the bank is not giving you $410,000 for that home. Because buyers are overbidding, technically, if a house is worth $400,000, a buyer who's obtaining a mortgage can offer as high as they want. They can offer $700,000 if they want, but if the bank says, haha, it's only worth $420,000, they're not giving you $700,000 if you're the sellers, because the bank doesn't think that's how much it's worth. And for that reason, listing agents and sellers now want to know, if you're going to go over asking for my house, how are you going to handle appraisals? There's multiple ways to go about it. And one of them is to waive appraisal completely. It doesn't matter what it comes in, I will guarantee $420,000. And a lot of the times buyers are not financially okay with doing that. And that is fine. At the end of the day, we just have to submit our highest offer. What a lot of my buyers do is they set an appraisal floor, which basically means that as long as it appraises at $400,000, I'll guarantee you $420,000. It allows them to give a limit to how much they're willing to waive. But what a lot of lenders do nowadays is they can get creative, where if you have a higher down payment, you can take some from that down payment and use that to pay for the difference. And then of course, if you have cash, then you are better off. And another thing is closing date. So I talked about this a little bit already. So of course, if it's a vacant house, and more than likely the sellers would want a fast closing, versus if it is still occupied by either a tenant or the sellers, then you may need a longer closing date, or they may need a use and occupancy, which all it means is they'll be staying there for a few more weeks. One way that you can make the deal a lot sweeter for the seller is if you tell them that they can stay there for a couple weeks at no cost to them. So that's what some buyers are also doing in order to win bids in this crazy seller's market. So clearly in this market, it's really important to be flexible and willing to compromise, because there's just not a lot of homes on the market. And a lot of the time, some buyers also have to kind of get out of their preferred location and go to a different town, or if they are hoping to get a fully renovated house, they may have to look at something that's a little less updated, but they can change throughout the years of them living there. It's just part of what the market looks like today, and it's something that's very important if you really want to get a home in this market. It's also very important that you stay in constant communication with your lender, your attorney, your real estate agent, and you're on top of getting your mortgage application ready. Because at the end of the day, it's not all about getting that offer accepted, it's also getting us to the closing table. That is it for me. I went over a lot in this video. I know it could possibly be overwhelming, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. But if you have any questions, of course, you could always comment down below. You could also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, private message me, DM me, and I also have my email address on here. If you want to buy a home in 2023 and you want to work with me as your buyer's agent, you can also schedule an initial consultation with me. The link is going to be down below. And that's it for me today. See you guys in the next video. Bye.